Something terrifying is happening right above us. A force so powerful, so ancient, yet so unpredictable. The sun, our life giver, is dying. And when it does, it won't just take Earth with it. It will erase everything we have ever known. The question is not if, but when. Scientists have been watching it closely, and they are beginning to notice something unsettling. The sun is changing. Its once predictable cycles are becoming erratic, and no one truly understands why. For centuries, we have relied on the sun to sustain life. It provides warmth, light, and energy. But what if that same energy turned against us? In 1859, a massive solar storm known as the CarringtonEvent struck Earth. It fried telegraph lines, set fires, and lit up the night sky as if it were daylight. If the same event happened today, it would be far worse. Our satellites would fail, power grids would collapse, and within hours, civilization as we know it could be thrown into chaos. And that was just a warning shot. Scientists now believe the sun is capable of something far more catastrophic. What if one day, without warning, the sun unleashed a storm so massive that it wiped out all technology, shutting down entire continents in an instant? What if, deep within its core, something is happening that we don't yet understand? A force so powerful that even our most advanced instruments can barely detect it. NASA has been watching. The ParkerSolarProbe, the closest human-made object to the sun, has sent back data that is puzzling scientists. The sun's corona, its outermost layer, burns millions of degrees hotter than its surface, defying all logic. And then there's the question of its magnetic field, which shifts and twists unpredictably. The sun is a ticking time bomb. It has been stable for billions of years. But what if that stability is beginning to break? What if, hidden deep within its fiery depths, the countdown to catastrophe has already begun? We look up at the sky every day, basking in its warmth, never thinking for a second that one day that warmth could become the very thing that destroys us. The sun has been watching over us for billions of years. But are we really prepared for what comes next? Before the sun, there was only darkness, a vast, empty void stretching across the cosmos, waiting for something to ignite. Then, nearly 4.6 billion years ago, a cosmic event changed everything. A distant supernova exploded, sending shock waves rippling through space. These shock waves crashed into a massive cloud of gas and dust, disturbing its delicate balance. Gravity took over, pulling particles together, forcing them into a tight embrace. As the cloud collapsed inward, its core began to heat up, growing hotter and denser with each passing moment. For hundreds of thousands of years, this chaotic dance continued. The core of the collapsing cloud reached unimaginable temperatures, millions of degrees. Then, in a moment of cosmic perfection, something extraordinary happened. Nuclear fusion ignited. Hydrogen atoms, squeezed under intense pressure, fused together, creating helium. This process unleashed an enormous amount of energy, and in an instant, a star was born. The sun, a newborn giant in a universe filled with darkness. At first, the sun was unstable, its surface a raging inferno of turbulent energy. It pulsed violently, throwing off massive waves of radiation. But slowly, over millions of years, it settled into a stable rhythm, its fiery surface calming just enough to sustain the formation of planets around it. One of those planets, a tiny blue world orbiting at just the right distance, would one day be called Earth. But the sun was not an ordinary star. It was a second-generation star, born from the ashes of ancient stars that had exploded long before. This meant that deep within its core lay elements forged in the heart of dead stars' carbon, oxygen, and even traces of iron. Without those elements, Earth could never have existed. Life, as we know it, would never have begun. The sun was not just our source of light, it was our creator, the reason we are here today. Yet, even in its infancy, the sun carried a secret, a hidden danger that would take billions of years to reveal itself. It was a force so powerful, so inevitable, that nothing in the solar system could escape its grasp. From the moment it was born, the sun was already dying. Its fate was sealed the day fusion began. One day, it would run out of fuel, and when that day comes, the consequences will be unimaginable. But for now, the sun is stable. It burns with relentless energy, showering Earth with warmth and light. It has given us life, but it has also shaped the world in ways we are only beginning to understand. The sun's influence goes far beyond what we can see. It controls our climate, our weather, even the cycles of life itself. And yet, for all its power, it is not invincible. There are forces at work within the sun that even scientists struggle to comprehend, forces that could one day turn it from a life-giver into a bringer of destruction. The sun's story is far from over. Its past holds the secrets of our existence, but its future, that is something far more terrifying. What happens when a star like our sun begins to change? What happens when the very force that gave us life begins to turn against us? The answers lie deep within the burning heart of the sun itself. And as scientists look closer, they are beginning to realize that the sun may not be as stable as we once thought. For billions of years, the sun has been the silent architect of life on Earth. Every sunrise marks the continuation of a cycle that has existed longer than human history itself. It provides warmth, energy, and the very conditions that allow life to flourish. Without it, Earth would be nothing more than a frozen rock drifting in the darkness of space. But what if the sun isn't just our protector? What if it's also our greatest threat? The sun's influence reaches far beyond what we can see. It controls our climate, dictates the seasons, and fuels the delicate balance of life. Plants convert sunlight into energy through photosynthesis, forming the foundation of the food chain. Ocean currents and wind patterns are shaped by its heat. Even the human body is tuned to its rhythms. Our sleep cycles, moods, and health are all linked to the sun's presence. But this relationship is not one of harmony. It is one of constant struggle, because while the sun sustains life, it also has the power to take it away. Every second, the sun hurls billions of tons of charged particles into space, a storm of radiation known as the solar wind. Most of the time, Earth's magnetic field deflects these particles, shielding us from their deadly effects. But sometimes, the sun releases something far more dangerous. Solar storms, massive explosions on the sun's surface, send waves of energy hurtling toward Earth at unimaginable speeds. In 1859, one such event, known as the CarringtonEvent, struck our planet. The sky erupted in brilliant auroras visible as far south as the Caribbean. But what made this event truly terrifying was what it did to the world's early technology. Telegraph systems across the globe failed, sparks shot from wires, and operators were shocked by their own machines. If the same event happened today, the consequences would be devastating. Imagine waking up to find every satellite offline, GPS, internet, radio signals gone. Power grids would fail, plunging entire nations into darkness. Airplanes would be stranded mid-flight, unable to navigate. Banks, hospitals, government systems paralyzed. A single powerful solar storm could send humanity back into the dark ages in a matter of hours. And what's worse, scientists say it's not a question of if this will happen again, but when. But solar storms are only part of the danger. There is something even more unsettling, something scientists are only beginning to understand. The sun doesn't just emit light and heat. It pulses with a hidden rhythm, an 11-year cycle of increasing and decreasing activity. During periods of peak activity, known as solar maximum, the sun's surface erupts with violent storms. And some scientists believe that these cycles may have long-term effects on Earth's climate effects we have yet to fully comprehend. What if the sun is more connected to Earth's fate than we ever realized? What if its fluctuations are responsible for extreme weather, shifting climates, and even mass extinctions throughout history? There are whispers among scientists that the sun's behavior is changing in ways we do not yet understand. And if that is true, then the greatest force in our solar system, the very thing that gives us life, may also be capable of reshaping our planet in ways we are not prepared for. Throughout history, the sun has been both revered and feared. Ancient civilizations tracked its movements with precision, constructing massive structures like Stonehenge and the pyramids to align with its cycles. They understood that their survival depended on the sun's patterns, but they also feared the times when it grew unpredictable, when crops failed, when droughts stretched on for years, when the skies darkened without explanation. What they didn't know was that the sun itself was in a constant battle, a war between gravity and fusion, a struggle to maintain balance. That balance is not permanent. Scientists now believe that the sun has entered an unusually quiet phase in its cycle, raising questions about what comes next. Could this be the calm before the storm? Could we be on the brink of an era where the sun behaves in ways we've never seen before? Some researchers suggest that a prolonged period of solar inactivity could plunge Earth into a colder climate, similar to the Little Ice Age that occurred between the 16th and 19th centuries. Others warn that an opposite scenario is just as likely, that an unpredictable surge in solar activity could trigger devastating heat waves, wildfires, and storms unlike anything in recorded history. But what if there's something even more alarming? What if the sun's increasing instability is a sign of something deeper, a hidden shift happening within its core? The sun has been stable for billions of years, but nothing in the universe lasts forever. There are forces within it that even the most advanced models cannot fully predict. What happens when the sun's internal balance begins to tip? The sun is both a blessing and a curse. It has shaped every breath we take, every drop of water that falls, every life that has ever existed. But it has also sent warning signs, flares, storms, and erratic pulses that hint at a deeper mystery. We have built our entire civilization under the assumption that the sun will remain the same, that it will rise every morning and set every evening. But what if one day that assumption is shattered? The answers lie in the sun's hidden mysteries, the forces within it that we do not yet understand. Scientists are searching for clues, sending probes closer than ever before, studying its patterns, trying to unlock the secrets of its behavior. Because if there is one thing we know for certain, it is this: the sun's story is far from over, and what happens next may determine the future of life itself. But to understand where we are going, we must first uncover the mysteries still hidden within the sun. What makes its outer atmosphere burn millions of degrees hotter than its surface? Why do magnetic fields twist and snap like cosmic whips, releasing bursts of energy powerful enough to fry technology on Earth? What secrets is the sun still keeping from us? The deeper we look, the more we realize that our star is far more complex and far more dangerous than we ever imagined. And now, for the first time in history, we have the tools to look closer than ever before. But what we are discovering may leave us with more questions than answers. The sun is not as stable as we once believed, and as we unlock its secrets, we may find that the greatest threat to humanity has been hiding in plain sight all along. For centuries, humanity has looked up at the sun, believing it to be a simple, unchanging force, a burning sphere of fire that would shine forever. But the more we study it, the more we realize how little we truly understand. The sun is not just a ball of fire. It is a cosmic enigma, a machine governed by forces so extreme that even our most advanced technology struggles to make sense of them. It hides mysteries within its depths, mysteries that could change everything we know about the universe. One of the greatest puzzles scientists have yet to solve lies in the sun's outermost layer, the corona. Logically, the sun's surface should be the hottest part, since it's the closest to the nuclear fusion happening in its core. But strangely, the corona, the thin outer atmosphere of the sun, burns at millions of degrees, hundreds of times hotter than the surface itself. This defies the basic laws of thermodynamics. How is it possible? What unknown force is heating the corona? Some theories suggest magnetic waves or nanoflares, tiny explosions invisible to the naked eye, but no one knows for sure. And if we don't understand what makes the corona so extreme, how can we predict what it might do next? Then there are the sun's magnetic fields, a force more chaotic than anything we have ever encountered. The sun is not a solid object, it is a swirling sea of superheated plasma. This plasma moves at different speeds in different layers, creating twisted, tangled magnetic fields that sometimes snap with unimaginable force. When this happens, it triggers solar flares and coronal mass ejection, colossal eruptions of energy that can travel across the solar system. When aimed at Earth, they have the power to disable satellites, disrupt radio communications, and in extreme cases, knock out power grids for entire continents. But here's the terrifying part. We don't fully understand what triggers these events. Scientists can't predict when the sun will unleash its fury. We are at its mercy, living in the shadow of an unpredictable beast. This unpredictability has led scientists to launch one of the most ambitious space missions in history, the ParkerSolarProbe. Launched in 2018, this tiny spacecraft is on a mission to do the impossible, to touch the sun. It is traveling closer than any human-made object has ever gone, flying through the sun's corona at unimaginable speeds. The goal? To uncover the sun's secrets, to measure its magnetic fields up close, to understand the forces at play within its fiery depths. But every journey closer comes with a risk. The sun is not a gentle giant, it is a raging inferno. And as we reach into its fire, we may learn truths that we are not prepared for. There is another question that has haunted scientists for decades: the sun's cycles. Every 11 years, the sun goes through a period of high activity known as solar maximum, followed by a quieter phase, solar minimum. During solar maximum, the sun erupts with storms, sunspots, and violent outbursts. But there is a strange pattern buried within these cycles, one that scientists still struggle to explain. Sometimes, the sun's activity is far stronger than expected. Other times it becomes eerily silent, entering long, unexplained periods of dormancy. One such event, known as the Maunder Minimum, lasted from 1645 to 1715, during which the sun became so quiet that the Earth cooled significantly, leading to a mini ice age. Could this happen again? Could an unpredictable shift in solar activity send our planet into an era of extreme cold or worse? A period of deadly radiation bombardment? The more we study the sun, the more we realize that it is far from stable. It has hidden cycles, erratic behaviors, and forces we have yet to comprehend. And the greatest mystery of all is still ahead of us. What happens when the sun begins to change permanently? Because one day, whether we are ready or not, the sun's journey will take a terrifying turn. And when it does, it won't just change the fate of Earth, it will change the fate of the entire solar system. The sun may seem eternal, a constant presence in our sky, but its time is running out. From the moment it was born, it has been burning through its fuel, slowly but relentlessly inching toward its inevitable fate. Right now, the sun is in its main sequence phase, a period of stability that has lasted for billions of years. But deep inside, something is happening that no one on Earth can see. The sun is changing, and when the change reaches its tipping point, the consequences will be catastrophic. For now, the sun survives by fusing hydrogen into helium, a process that releases the immense energy we see as sunlight. But hydrogen is not infinite. In about 5 billion years, the sun will begin to run out of this vital fuel. As the hydrogen dwindles, the balance between gravity and fusion, the delicate equilibrium that has kept the sun stable for billions of years, will begin to collapse. And then something extraordinary will happen. With less hydrogen to burn, the sun's core will shrink under the immense force of gravity, becoming hotter and denser. But while the core contracts, the outer layers of the sun will begin to expand outward. Slowly at first, then rapidly, the sun will grow larger and larger, engulfing everything in its path. It will transform into a red giant, a swollen, monstrous version of itself, hundreds of times its current size. As this expansion continues, the heat from the dying core will intensify. Mercury will be the first to fall, consumed by the growing inferno. Then Venus, swallowed whole as the sun's fiery tendrils stretch outward. And then, in what will be one of the most apocalyptic moments in Earth's history, our own planet will meet its end. The sun will expand beyond Earth's orbit, its outer layers scorching the atmosphere, boiling the oceans, and turning the surface into a lifeless wasteland. There will be no escape. The very star that gave us life will now be the force that takes it away. But Earth's destruction will not be the end of the sun's transformation. Even in its bloated red giant phase, the sun will continue burning, fusing heavier elements like helium into carbon and oxygen. This process will last for a few 100 million years, an instant in the grand scale of cosmic time. But then the final stage will begin. Without enough mass to sustain the violent end that larger stars experience, the sun will not explode in a supernova. Instead, it will shed its outer layers in a breathtaking display of cosmic beauty, creating a planetary nebula, a glowing shell of ionized gas stretching across the void. What remains of the sun will collapse into an unimaginably dense, Earth-sized core known as a white dwarf. It will no longer produce energy, no longer shine like the star it once was. It will simply exist, a fading ember of its former self, cooling slowly over billions of years until it becomes a cold, dark black dwarf, lost in the eternal night of space. This is the future of the sun. This is the fate of our solar system. Every planet, every moon, every trace of what was once humanity will be erased in the final death throes of our star. And yet, even in death, the sun will leave behind something incredible, a nebula that will drift through space, carrying the very atoms that once made up our world. These atoms may one day form new stars, new planets, perhaps even new life. In this way, the sun's death will not be the end, but a transformation, a return to the cosmic cycle that has created and destroyed countless stars before it. But long before this distant future arrives, there is a far more urgent question. What will happen to humanity? If Earth is doomed to be consumed by the dying sun, will we find a way to escape? Will we abandon our home planet in search of a new world, a new star to call our own? Or will we vanish long before the sun meets its end, victims of our own self-destruction? The clock is ticking, not just for the sun, but for us. The universe is constantly changing, and if we do not change with it, we may not survive to see what comes next. The sun's story is one of creation and destruction, of unimaginable power and inevitable collapse. But the question that remains is perhaps the most important of all. What will be humanity's place in this story? Will we be witnesses to the end, or will we find a way to write a new chapter? As we look billions of years into the future, one thing is certain: Earth will not last forever. The sun, our life-giving star, will one day become our destroyer. But long before that final transformation into a red giant, the sun's gradual changes will make Earth increasingly uninhabitable. The question isn't just about the distant future, it's about the choices we make now. Even within the next billion years, the sun's brightness will increase by about 10%. It doesn't sound like much, but this slight increase will set off a catastrophic chain reaction. The extra heat will cause more water to evaporate from Earth's oceans, increasing the levels of water vapor in the atmosphere. Since water vapor is a greenhouse gas, this will trap even more heat, pushing temperatures higher and higher. The oceans will begin to boil away, turning Earth into a suffocating desert-like world. Much like Venus, if humanity still exists at this time, our only hope will be to abandon Earth for a more hospitable home. But where would we go? Could we colonize Mars? While Mars is cold and barren now, as the sun's heat increases, it might become more Earth-like. The ice caps could melt, creating liquid water, and the thin atmosphere might thicken over time. However, Mars alone will not be a permanent solution. As the sun continues to evolve, even Mars will become uninhabitable. Humanity will need to leave the solar system entirely. The search for a new home would take us beyond our familiar planets, beyond the asteroid belt, beyond the Kuiper Belt, and into the vastness of interstellar space. Our best hope lies in exoplanets, planets orbiting distant stars. Scientists have already identified thousands of exoplanets, and some may have conditions suitable for life. But the closest star system, Alpha Centauri, is 4.37 light-years away, an unimaginable distance with our current technology. Traveling there would require breakthroughs in propulsion, energy, and space survival. Would humanity develop the means to make such a journey? Or would we perish before we ever had the chance to leave? Another possibility is that future humans, or perhaps our AI successors, could find a way to move the Earth itself. It may sound like science fiction, but some scientists have proposed methods like gravitational slingshots using passing asteroids to slowly alter Earth's orbit, pushing it farther from the sun over millions of years. But this is an incredibly risky endeavor, and the slightest miscalculation could doom the planet even faster. And what if humanity doesn't make it? What if we don't survive long enough to face the sun's final death? Climate change, nuclear war, asteroid impacts, artificial intelligence, there are countless existential threats that could wipe us out long before the sun becomes a red giant. If humanity disappears, the Earth will continue without us, but only for a time. Eventually, our cities, our monuments, our greatest achievements will crumble into dust. The final traces of our existence will be erased as the sun consumes our world. But what if, against all odds, we do survive? What if we become a spacefaring civilization, spreading beyond the solar system, thriving among the stars? If we do, then the sun's death will not be our end, but merely the closing of one chapter in an ever-expanding story. Humanity could become a species of cosmic wanderers, living in the glow of younger, more stable stars. Perhaps we will even reach the level of a type the second civilization, a society capable of harnessing the full energy of a star, building Dyson spheres to collect its power. Maybe, far in the future, we will even become a type, the third civilization, expanding across galaxies, bending the very fabric of space itself. But whether we achieve greatness or fade into obscurity, one thing is certain. The sun's fate is sealed. It will die, and it will take everything with it. But its death may not be the end. The atoms that once made up our sun will drift across the cosmos, merging with other clouds of gas and dust. And from this cosmic graveyard, a new star will be born. Perhaps in the distant future, that star will shine upon a new Earth, a new civilization, a new beginning. For now, we are here, in this moment, living under the light of a star that has seen the rise and fall of entire species. We are a small part of its vast story, but the greatest question of all still remains unanswered. Will we find a way to outlive the sun, or will we be nothing more than a fleeting memory, lost in the ashes of a dying star, long after the sun has burned through its last breath of fuel? Long after its fire has faded into the cold silence of space, its story will continue. The remnants of its existence will drift through the galaxy, merging with the raw materials that form new stars, new planets, and perhaps new life. In this way, the sun will never truly die. It will simply transform. But what will remain of us? Will humanity's legacy be written among the stars, or will we vanish like dust in the solar wind? If we do survive, what stories will we tell about the sun that once nourished us? Perhaps, billions of years from now, an advanced civilization, one that traces its origins back to Earth, will look up at a new sun in a different sky. They will know that they came from a distant world that no longer exists, a world that once orbited a star that burned with the same fire that now fuels their own survival. They will tell the tale of the sun that gave birth to their ancestors, the sun that shaped the destiny of an entire species, the sun that even in death gave them the atoms that make up their bodies. Or perhaps, in some distant corner of the galaxy, new life will emerge from the elements forged in the heart of our sun. Creatures unlike anything we can imagine, beings who will never know Earth, who will never hear the voices of humanity, will walk beneath a sky filled with light from a different sun. And yet, unknowingly, they will carry within them the building blocks of a star that once shone over a blue planet teeming with life. This is the cycle of the cosmos. Stars are born, they shine, they die, and from their ashes, new worlds are created. Our sun is just one of countless billions in an ever-expanding universe. But to us, it is everything. It is our creator, our protector, and one day it will be our destroyer. For now, we stand at a crossroads. We are still bound to the earth, still tethered to the fate of our sun. But the universe is vast, and time is relentless. One day the sun's light will fade, and our only choice will be to move forward, to leave behind the world that has been our home, and to embrace the unknown. Perhaps, in the end, that is the sun's greatest gift to us, not just life, not just warmth, but the understanding that nothing lasts forever, And in that understanding, we find our purpose to explore, to evolve, and to ensure that even after our sun has vanished from the sky, the story of humanity will continue to shine. Because, in the grandest sense, the sun is not just the past, it is not just the present. It is the spark that ignites the future, a future that is waiting for us beyond the stars. One day, the sun's last ember will fade into the darkness, leaving behind only a quiet, lifeless husk, a black dwarf, radiating no heat, casting no light. It will drift through the silent void, a relic of a time when it once bathed Earth in golden warmth. No one will be there to witness its final moments. No planets will remain in its orbit. No life will be left to remember the billions of years it once ruled the solar system. By then, Earth will be long gone. Whether humanity perished or became a civilization of interstellar wanderers, our home planet will have been reduced to cosmic dust, recycled into the ever-changing universe. Perhaps some fragments of our world will have found their way to new planets, seeded by the microscopic remnants of our existence. Maybe, somewhere in a distant galaxy, the atoms that once made up our bodies will be reborn as part of something new, another world, another being, another story. And the sun? It will become just one of the countless stars that once lived and died in the grand cosmic dance. In a universe where time stretches infinitely forward, even the death of a star is just another step in a process that has repeated itself for billions of years and will continue for billions more. Our sun, like all things, was temporary, but the energy it released, the elements it forged, and the life it once nurtured will never be truly lost. They will exist in new forms, in new places, scattered throughout the cosmos. Perhaps, in the distant future, a new species, one that has never heard of humanity or Earth, will look to the sky and study the remnants of a long-dead sun. Perhaps they will wonder about the civilizations that once lived in its light, and perhaps in some unknowable way, a trace of us will remain, carried on the breath of the universe itself. For now, as we stand beneath the sun's warmth, knowing that its fate is sealed, we are left with one undeniable truth. We are lucky to exist in this brief moment of light. We are witnesses to the story for now. As we stand beneath the sun's warmth, knowing that its fate is sealed, we are left with one undeniable truth. We are lucky to exist in this brief moment of light. We are witnesses to the story of a star that has given us everything: the air we breathe, the food we eat, the energy that powers our world. Every sunrise we witness is a reminder that this moment is temporary. One day, there will be a final sunrise, a last dawn before the sun's fire begins to fade. But until then, its light is ours to cherish, to study, to understand, and perhaps most importantly, to use. Because the sun's story is not just about its own fate, it is about what we do with the time we have left under its light. It has given us the chance to think, to create, to explore. It has given us the ability to dream of a future beyond our own solar system, to imagine a time when we are no longer bound to this one fragile world. Maybe one day our descendants will stand on a distant planet, orbiting a younger, brighter sun, telling stories of the ancient star that gave rise to their civilization. Maybe they will look up at a different sky, knowing that they are not lost, but that they have carried the legacy of their first home across the galaxy. Or maybe, if we do not act, if we do not strive to reach beyond the limits of our solar system, our story will end alongside the sun's. Our world will turn to dust, our achievements forgotten, our existence erased. The sun's light will not last forever. But as long as we have it, we have a choice to live in its glow, to reach beyond it, and to ensure that even after our sun has faded into darkness, the story of humanity will continue to shine. The sun will die, but will we? That answer is up to us. And in all of this, amid the chaos, the beauty, and the terror of the sun, we must pause to give thanks to God. For it is He who created the heavens and the earth, who set the sun in its place with perfect precision. Every ray of light, every burst of warmth, every cycle that sustains our lives, it is all by His design. He gave us this star not just to live by, but to marvel at, to remind us of His infinite power and mercy. Even as we fear the sun's unpredictable fury, we trust in His wisdom, for He alone knows the secrets of its core, the timing of its end, and the fate of all that it touches. For the sun is not just a force of nature, it is a sign of His greatness, a gift to humanity, and a call to reflect on the one who holds the universe in His hands. And so, the story of our sun comes to an end, but our journey does not have to. The universe is vast, filled with mysteries waiting to be explored. If you found this story fascinating, if you want to hear more about the wonders of space, time, and the forces that shape our existence, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you're not just supporting the content, you're becoming part of a community that seeks knowledge, that questions the unknown, and that dares to imagine the future. Hit the like button, share this video with others who love space, and leave a comment below. Do you think humanity will survive long enough to outlive the sun? Or will we be just another forgotten civilization in the vast timeline of the universe? Thank you for watching, and as always, keep looking up, because the story of the universe is far from over.